I thought you was weaving other bags. But we got. Oh, a minute. I got a couple minutes. She just called me. I really got. I love her. You don't know. You don't know what people have.
Well, my back would get better. I feel like a new man.
Well, I'm glad.
I say when my back gets better.
Oh, when it gets
better. I drove truck 35 years. You know, it's not. Body is not designed to sit like that.
I'm not for 35. My son's a driver.
Really?
He drives from Walmart.
Okay. That was 1,000 years.
Yeah. To me, I'm going, oh my God, make it happen.
Boy, it's a lot. Got to put up with a lot, you know.
You said that too. Yes, they got benefits and all that stuff.
You said.
I said, man, there's so much politics and stuff you got to deal with. Yeah, so I don't know. I could do.
You don't think so? UPS, Yellow Freight, Walmart, Roadway, that's your top. That's your Cadillac. That's your big house. All the rest of the trucking. That's all.
Well, he at one time he went on his own truck.
Did he? What terminal he on?
I know that he lives up in when he drives.
Where?
Norman G. Lives up okay. Not for Ashton.
All over 45.
All right, we got 1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute. One minute to get the one. That's down 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Oh, goodness, whatever happened. What a big time. And I'll have something to say about that if you need it.
Okay. So, 2 seconds left. How about that? 876.
Well, yeah, we're going to be on. We're going to start on 75 a little bit. All right. Good morning. A couple of quick housekeeping things, real quickly. Make sure we get our sign-in sheets. Get them at North Point. Get them here at South Point. Make sure that they are legible so that we can see it. Make sure you got your cup of coffee and your muffin and whatever else you're going to do this morning so that we can limit some of the mobility and groups this morning a little bit. We're going to have a goal for our group today. What's our goal going to be?
100%.
What is it?
Stay away.
Yeah, one of the goals for group is to stay awake, pay attention. That's good. I need to make sure that whatever I'm doing, if I have to do something, I need to do it. But whatever I'm doing is focused in the group and is not going to disrupt other people in the group. Some people might actually need the group, right? So our goal for the group is to learn a bit more about social support and what that means. And at the end of the day, we ought to know a little something more about social support, how to get some social support, and some of those things. We're going to start on 75 in our book and look at that, which is the other housekeeping thing I need to do this morning. Is if you don't have your book, you're not good. You don't have a book? Where's your book? All right, so you need to bring your book to group. We bring 17,000 things, but not our workbook. So make sure you have your workbook in group. If you don't have a workbook, then tell your counselor you don't have a workbook, and they will get you a workbook. They'll make sure that you get a workbook that day. Y'all see Miss Caitlin walk through here every now and then. She's the workbook making person for both facilities. She makes workbooks for this facility, workbooks for North as well. So she's doing a really, really good job of it. And so y'all let her do that. Make sure we've got books. So here's the other thing. When we have someone new come in, we're the old guys here. We're the old ladies here. So, excuse me. Make sure that person knows that they need to tell their counselor they need a book. And the reason we have to do that is not because the counselors are just not thinking about it, but they're just not thinking about it. Right? They've got a lot to do. And so, they're making treatment plans, they're doing treatment plan reviews, doing assessments, they're doing all sorts of things, and remembering that you have to have a book sometimes might slip their mind. So just let them know that you need a book, and let those people who just come in know that they need to get a book. Now, since we're all here, we all have our books, we're all signing in, I want to draw your attention quickly to this magnificent painting on the board up here. This is something I know that you're going to want to take this thing off of this mount here and put it on the wall somewhere. I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. But once you do that, anyone who looks at it will have to pay me a quarter. Hey, look, I can't help it. I think that's a rule from the artist board. So I gotta get paid for my work. So I know that at North you can't see it very well. So what you're going to have to do is to call over here and have them send it to you. But once it gets mobile and once it's moved, it's $1. When it goes outside the house, it gets a little more expensive. So, but what this is, what do y'all think? This is a guy. He's kind of outside in the woods and got a river running beside. What does he look like? What's he look like? Like you?
I don't know.
He looks like
You can't.
Is he royalty like medieval times?
In the medieval side, I don't know what meant to be. Yes, sir.
It looks like he's sinking in quicksand because he don't have no legs.
Okay. But does he look happy at all? He's kind of got a little smile on his face. And can you tell why he might be happy?
He's sinking in quicksand. He's on somebody's hand.
No, he ain't holding nobody's hand. He's all by himself standing there.
That's why he's happy.
He's golf club. He's what? He's off drugs. Yeah, he's sober. That's one reason he's happy. What's the other reason?
He's playing golf.
He's playing golf. There ain't no golf course there. There ain't no golf club. There ain't no golf ball.
Yeah.
But in his mind, he playing golf. Okay. If you look, he's looking off over in that direction. What's over there? Other people. So it says right up here on top of the board. Yeah, and I do apologize. See, in my mind, I think y'all can read. And I write it up there over top of it so you can read it. And then obviously, Nobody can read that. And if somebody ought to read it to everybody, right? That says other people.
No podium is a little.
Oh, the podium's in your way.
Little.
Okay.
Yes, I mean.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I do apologize, but if I move it, then
that's okay.
North Point can't see anything, and North Point would sue me.
Oh, you got your.
Yeah. We're broadcasting all over the world. There's people in China going, "What don't he? Yeah. So anyway, if you look at his eyes, he's looking over that way, and this is other people. What's that telling us?
He likes people.
He likes people. What is meant to portray is that in order for us to be happy in our recovery, we've got to have other people involved in our recovery with us.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, he can see that now.
My quarterback.
He wants his money back. He can see it now because we got past the golf court. So anyway, he thought Trump was behind this one of his golf courts. But he has all these other people over here. And so, and look, this is a truism. We need to know that we're not going, we have to be just a little bit, not egotistical, a little bit, everything is about me because everything is about my recovery right now. So I have to be a little bit selfish, thank you, sir, right now because my recovery is more important than most things and than most people. We got to understand, if I'm going to have the life that I want to lead, then my recovery is more important than most things. And it's more important than most people. So, some of the things I used to like to do, like race cars, race motorcycles, stuff like that, that was important to me. But my recovery is more important than that.
Yeah.
Anybody ever been in the race car industry in it all? You'd be surprised how much drugs and alcohol.
Right. Yeah.
It's real bad.
I like what you just said. It hit me. So what you're saying, well, I'm getting it, and I got it. Your recovery is first priority.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to.
It got to be first priority.
It is first priority.
I need to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Mr. Freeman was saying. Our recovery has to be first priority. And here's the thing: it has to be first priority over other things and over other people. Because we talked yesterday about some of those addictive behaviors. Some of those addictive behaviors are people. Yeah. So some of those addictive behaviors are going to the boat. Some of those addictive behaviors are doing this, doing that. And those things that's going to excite me, those things that's going to get me to that place. When I get that excitement built up and I'm doing those behaviors I used to do, then they're going to bring back a desire for something other than just the behavior. Because part of the behavior is using the drug, right? How many people ever baked a cake? Y'all bakers, hey, how about that?
Yeah, I had weed in it.
You did what?
So, yeah, I had weed in it.
It had weed in your cake? Well, that's okay, but you just shouldn't be baking it outside. Yeah, if you don't bake it outside, then all those weeds and the grass and all of that stuff ain't gonna get in your cake. But here's the deal: if you do all that stuff, if you get up there and you get all the ingredients and you put them all together, and you get them in the right place and you get them in the right spot and you cook them for long enough, what's going to happen? You're going to have a nice cake.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with it? You're going to eat the cake. So when we get into a situation where we're doing the things we used to do and doing it in the places we used to do it, then look, there's going to be that one more ingredient. We're going to want to eat the cake. When we're back at that same place with those same people doing those same things, that one thing that we all came together for is going to come to the fore, and we're going to do that. I've heard a lot of counselors say that, you know, if you hang around the bank long enough, you will make a withdrawal. And if you hang around the bank long enough, another type of bank, the river bank, you hang around it long enough, you're going to slip in. So sooner or later. So we have to stay away from those things. But here's the deal. Even though our recovery has to be a little bit selfish, it's about me. And if you're one of those people who need me, and you're one of those people that's dangerous to me, then I'm not going to be able to help you. I can't do it. Can't do it. But here's the other thing. See, this is what makes it a little bit oxymoronic, a little bit hard to do, because in our recovery, we still need people.
Yeah.
We still need people. We're going to have people in our life. If we're going to stay in our recovery, we're going to have people in our life. So on page 75 and 76 of our book, everybody got their book? Everybody got one? Yeah. So everybody, y'all got that? You got? Okay. So y'all, North Point, you got this? I said lady over there. She don't have one. Okay. I just didn't see it. All right. So everybody got their book on page 75. We're going to look at there's some relationships here that we want to look at and say, okay, that relationship may be the one, but that relationship may not be the one as well. And remember, yesterday we talked about the fact that we're not just talking about romantic relationships. We're talking about relationships with your family, relationships with other people, friends. We ought to all have friends. Relationships with your people, with your boss. This morning I came in. The first thing I did this morning was I talked to Miss Kim. I talked about some other people that, you know, they're friends. They're not just co-workers. They're friends, right? And then I went down to talk to my boss.
Wow.
I talk to her because, you know, she's my friend. You know, so I want to talk to her and make sure that she knows I'm here and everything's okay and all of that stuff. While I was down the hallway down there, went into Mr. Farmer's office and talked to him. Yeah, you know, so I want to be okay with everybody I work with, right? I want to be on a good level with everybody that I work with. So we need to have a relationship with people that you ever work with somebody. I think I asked this question yesterday. You ever work with somebody that you didn't like?
Yes.
I have worked with a lot of people I didn't really like. You know, but you know, you still have to go there. What do you do if you don't like the people you're working with or for? Or what do you do?
You gotta work around shit.
You got to work around them.
Ignore
Them. Sometimes you can't.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Kill them with kind.
Kill them. I try. You know, there's somebody don't like me around here a whole lot. I've been trying to do that, and it ain't working. But yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna keep asking. Now, here's a question. Look, in the military, when you get promoted, you go to a board, and they ask you the question: if you get promoted, and your rank is higher than all of your friends, how are you going to deal with that?
You do what is right called.
Say it again.
Do what the rank is called for.
Do what the rank is called for.
Put your feelings aside
Put your feelings aside.
and do the job.
Do the job.
Tell them, no, I got big dog status.
Yeah, I got the big dog status now. You need to sit down and shut up. Yeah. Yeah. So here's the deal. You can still be friends with people, but they have to respect what's on your shoulder.
There you go.
Right? They have to respect what's on there. That doesn't mean that you can go to their house and go in their house and tell them what to do, does it? No. But when you show up on the job site, can they tell you what to do? Because of what's on their shoulder, they can. Yeah. If what's on your shoulder, they have to respect what's on your shoulder. And if what's on your shoulder is less than what's on their shoulder, then you have to respect what's on their. You don't have to respect the person, but you've got to respect what's on their shoulder, the rank. Now they wear it here. When I was in the Army, it was right here. It's on the lapel.
You gotta respect that authority.
You have to respect that. And that's the same way in the job. When you come into the job right here, what do you think is happening? Y'all seen it happen. In our group, if Mr. Farmer walks down the hall, he's very respectful. He won't just come in and take over my group, but he'll come in and stand over there. And when I'm teaching, I look and I can catch his eye. I know he has something to say. So what do? You turn the group over to him, right? Yeah, you let him have a group. Because if you like him, if you don't like him, you still have to respect him because of his position. Miss Rebecca comes in, she does the same thing. She'll come over here. She usually will come in at close to the end of the group. She doesn't come in the middle of the group. She'll come in close to the end of the group, and she'll go over to the edge there, and I know she needs to talk. And so, I'm going to give her 5 minutes because, she's a director.
You notice when she
her level's over mine.
You notice what you're saying when you notice when she comes at the end.
Yeah.
And you notice she comes at the end.
Yeah. She's prepared. So here's some of the other things we know to look for. Now, here's some of the things that if we're getting into a relationship because of some of these things, cut it out. Just don't do it. What's the first thing that causes us to get into a relationship?
Communication attraction.
Say it again. Physical attraction. We like the way that person looks, especially guys. Guys are visually motivated. Sometimes, look, and the training tells us that women are relationally motivated. They want to have a relationship, and they want, and guys are just visually motivated. They just, that's why y'all do like you do when, Miss Charnel walks, because we're visually motivated. And they want to have a relationship. But let me share a little something with you, because I'm older than most of you guys, and I have learned a few. Girls are visually motivated as well. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I've learned that down through the years. Maybe to a little bit lesser degree, but I can tell that because, being devastatingly good-looking myself, I can tell, but we are. Everybody, we're looking at, people and we say, well, that looks like that would be a fun person to be around, and I want to go over there and all of that stuff. And I asked yesterday how long should a relationship last, and there was a person sitting right over on that side at North that said for a week. So, I think they ought to last a little longer than a week. But one of the things that we don't need, here's the deal. Number 5 here says that the desire to fix or solve somebody else's problems. What would that make you?
Problem solver.
A problem solver. How would you like somebody to come along and solve all your problems?
I wouldn't.
I don't want. I'm going to look. I'm going to work on mine a little bit. My boss, y'all know Miss Sierra. She's been in here a few times. Miss Sierra is she's a little younger than I am, but she's sharper than a tack. She's pretty sharp. She's an LMFT. She's a mental health counselor. And to be that, you have to have a master's degree. And so she's a pretty sharp young lady. And yesterday, she asked me if I had gotten my computer here so it would print. And I told her no. And I could see, she didn't do it, but I could see inside of her brain, her eyes were rolling. Yeah. So she said, well, I'll come over. So this morning, I went to my deal over there, and I got in my office, and I said, you're leaving. So I tried to do it myself. I've tried to put it all up. I couldn't do it, so I'm going to have to go in there and tell her this morning. I tried to do that myself, and I couldn't do it. But because I don't want somebody having to fix everything for me, and I don't want to have to be fixing everything for somebody else. Right? I don't want to be that problem person. I don't want to be that problem solver all the time. Is it okay for you, if you are in a relationship, is it okay for you to solve some of the problems of that other person? Some of them, yeah. Yeah. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. You ought to be there to fulfill some of the needs for that person. And that person should be there to fulfill some of your needs, but not every need that you ever have will that person need to, or you should expect them to, or they probably be able to, right? It's not probably going to happen. So if you are going there to fix that person, If you're going there to problem solve for that, what does that make you?
Well, neighbor.
Well, it can make you an enabler, but it also makes you a rescuer.
Captain save everybody.
Yeah, you're saving everybody. And so you're trying to do that one at a time. Usually the people who are rescuers, what happens? They may be the rescuee after a while, but one of the big things that happens is the person gets fixed. If you're a fixer, if you're a rescuer and you go in and you get with that person and you fix that person, what happened? Yeah, they don't need you anymore, do they? They fixed, right? It's just like, I took my car down to the place to have them repair my transmission. I thought I needed a whole brand new transmission. The guy went in there and he checked it out. He said, no, all you need is to have the oil changed and the filter changed. So he charged me about $130 as opposed to $3,000. But whatever he did to my car, it was fixed. I drove it off. Did I take my car back the next day?
No.
Why?
It's
fixed. It's fixed. So I don't need the mechanic anymore because the car is fixed. So when you get somebody fixed, when you got their problem lined out, then they don't need you anymore. Those people who are rescuers, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask. When you said I was being a fixer, like, I had a situation like that on my job where get behind and work and dudes get lazy on the job. And I just do it. When they call a meeting, they tell me, like, don't be helping other guys. They also want to see their production, see how they work, see how they.
Right.
So another thing, jumping somebody, like, say, taking over their production and they introduce what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And, it's doing all the work.
Sure.
That being macho when they like, no, pipe down.
Right.
Look.
And that's a good point. He was saying that when you go into the job, people come in there to be rescuers, to be fixers. When you're not working up to the level, they come in and they take care of all of the stuff. They take care. They pull up your slack and they do all of that kind of stuff. People will take advantage of that. Oh yeah. We're not building buildings or anything in the industry that I work in, but I will tell you, I've seen it 1,000 times where somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do, and they were causing other people to work harder. And they had to work harder to pull that up. And so, and at some point in time, then usually that person wasn't needed as much. We don't need you if we can. If this guy can do all the work, why do we need you? Yeah. So if I am a rescuer, once I get that person rescued, they don't need me anymore. We may see ourselves rescuers, drawn to people with a whole lot of problems and a whole lot of painful lives. What do you do if you are drawn to somebody that has all of those problems in life and all of those painful things going on in their life? When you become a partner, a romantic partner, or a friend, or a co-worker with that person, what happens? You take some of that stuff into your life. Now, all of the problems and all of the mess that they had, you got, right? So before we want to make that person our friend, before we want to make that person a romantic romantic partner, before we want to make that person a boss or somebody that works for me, I got to know whether or not I'm really willing to take on those problems. Sometimes they become overwhelming in my life, and suddenly that relationship is no longer. So it's not a good idea. And look, do you know, and I'm sure you do, that was a rhetorical question. We all know that when we meet somebody, they're going to have problems, right? Anybody you make a friend, they're going to have problems. right? Anybody you get married to, anybody you become a real close relationship with, they're going to have problems, right? But we don't need to be drawn to them because they have problems, right? We need to be drawn to them because of other more positive attributes. And then as the problems crop up, we can deal with them. But we don't need to be drawn to them because they have. I told y'all yesterday about that a lady in our church who is a rescuer. She's a rescuer, but she's been married. This is my husband. Yeah, but this ain't the same husband you had last month. Oh, okay, yeah, but he got better. Okay, that's not how we should be lining out our relationships. Said, look, this distracts us from our problems. When we're trying to work on your problems, then it distracts us from our own problems. Any of you guys ever heard of that old dead singer Elvis?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know who Elvis is? He's dead, He died a long time ago, but he used to sing a song called "Work on Your Own Backyard Before You Come Messing Around with Mine." Yeah. Take care of your own stuff before you try to get my stuff. Bible says, look, take the plank out your eye before you try to take the splinter out of somebody else's, or the speck. It says speck is to take the plank out of your eye before you try to take the splinter or the speck out of somebody else's eye, right? We got to take care of our own stuff. So here's what that does, though. When I become a rescuer and I go and take care of people who are having some real serious issues, it makes me feel generous, makes me feel superior. I can't say that word. Superior. Makes me feel safe from abandonment because we know that person's never going to leave us because they need us, right? And I've had people tell me that, why are you doing that? That guy is beating you up. That girl is running around. She's not cooking. That guy's not doing this. He hadn't had a job in 8 years, but he's got a cold. Okay, it's been a long one. Whatever the reason are, whatever the reasonings are, there's all of these things are going on. And I say, why do you stay in that situation? What do they tell me? They tell me two things. Sometimes what I love him. I love him. And the other one is
That's my baby daddy.
they need me. That's my baby daddy. Yeah, that's my Or that person needs me. Is it okay to be needed? To some extent, yeah. It's not okay to be needed above all other things. If I need you so much that I can't imagine what I would possibly do if you died, or if you ran off with the mailman or the milk girl. If I cannot imagine that. If my wife ran off with the milkman, I had to go to the store buy my own milk. That'd be sad. That'd be hard. The thing is that I would be sad for a while. I would be sad for a month. But I'm going to go on with my life. I'm a stand-alone, positive individual, right? I'm okay. I'm a confident individual. I don't have to have another person to stay living. Yeah.
See, sometimes those feelings are so strong that person may end up either like killing themselves, or killing the spouse, or killing.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Lots of crazy things happen. Sergio was saying that sometimes those feelings that I need that person so badly is so strong that people kill themselves or kill other people. That's crazy. You've heard the statement, if I can't have you, nobody else will. Yeah, look, if I can't have you, let me help you find somebody else. I said, okay, yes, sir.
So it's just a situation that we talk about on the news the other day. It was these two people taking a cruise. It was on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
And the dude stabbed this girl, and he jumped over. And they couldn't find him when they found him. Wow. But she
Yeah.
lived.
She lived. So he was telling us about a cruise, and they went on a cruise, and the guy stabbed a girl and then jumped overboard. That's not good. Yeah, you know, if you going on a cruise with a person, the first thing you should do is ask them, "You gonna stab me?" Yeah, you know, get that out in the open before you go. You know, you gonna kill me? You planning on suiciding off on yourself and killing me before? You know, you need to get that stuff understood. You know, before you go. I'm not into that. You know, just let them know there's some things in my life I'm not into. Getting stabbed is one of them. I'm kind of against getting shot too. I don't like those things, you know. So let's not get involved in anything like that. You know, if you've been married 7 times and you've stabbed all 7, I ain't gonna be going out with you, right? So I need to make some. There's some things that you you need to protect yourself, and you cannot rescue everybody from everything. I'm looking for a positive person who is on the same level that I am in confidence, in positivity, in understanding where they're going in life. I want somebody to be an equal, not somebody I have to rescue. I don't want to get involved with somebody who feels like they need to rescue me either. You know. So I want to have. So that's a real, and I'm beating on that a little bit, but it's a real, prevalent thing. It happens a lot. And now look, now that we know about it a little bit, we'll be able to recognize it a little bit more in our life. Oh my goodness. You know, I'm attracted to that person because they have all of this depression, anxiety, all of these other things in their life. It's not because they're the best looking person in their life. It's not because they have all of these other issues in their lives. And so maybe, does that mean I should never get involved with somebody who has depression? No. No, my wife gets a little depressed every now and then. You know, I'll be sitting on the couch and she's sitting over here next to me, and I look over and she's got this hangdog look on her face and all of this kind of stuff, and I realize that, you know, she's a little depressed right now. And the only thing I can think about is, you know, she's thinking about way back in the day. She used to be one of those. She used to be what's that? A majorette.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she had a cowboy hat. And she was a cheerleader, but she was made a little bit different than a cheerleader. But she was doing all of that kind of stuff, and then she's looking at me and said, "Well, I married him." Yeah. What? I married him. The football players wanted to take her out, but I married him. You know.
They usually date the quarterback.
Yeah, they date the quarterbacks and all of that kind of stuff when I came back. So, you know. Anyway, gradual, step-by-step development is what we need to do. So here's the deal. A healthy relationship has the opposite qualities. I don't need to feel good about myself because I'm doing something for that other person. Here's the other side of the coin. The traits of a stable, positive relationship. Look, this is what a stable, positive relationship looks like, and this is what we need to be ascribing to. This is what we need to be striving to have in our lives. This is the kind of relationship we need to have. We've been talking about the ones we shouldn't have. Let's talk about the ones we should. So here's some of those things. It's a truck. There's a truck going by the truck. Doesn't take much to get us out of group. There's a truck. Gradual step-by-step development, right? We don't need to be that lustful. We don't need to be that in the moment. Boom! Yeah, you know, we need to take a little bit of time, gradually move along the relationship over a period of time. And so what's the perfect timeline?
6 months.
What is it?
6 months.
6 months? Okay. That's the perfect timeline. For some people,
it's better than a week.
for some people, it may be a year. Some people it may need to be 5 years. It's all up to the individual couple. It may, but the point is that I'm taking some time. I'm not going to rush into this thing, jump into this thing just because. I'm not going to do something just because I want to do it. I'm thinking about building a stable, long-term relationship, right? Something that's going to last more than the norm. And the norm nowadays is 3 years to 5 years. So I want something that's going to last longer than the norm. And here's the deal: if you've been together with someone for 10 years, 15 years, and something horrible happens, like the guy forgets to cut the grass, or even more egregious, forgets your birthday,
The anniversary day.
or the anniversary date, or something like that, something that really is grounds for divorce and stuff like that. If you've been with that person for 10 or 15 years, you think it's easier to get beyond that than if that happens when it's 6 months. Yeah, because you've gotten to a place where you know the person and you know that person did that. I forgot my granddaughter's birthday the other day. But, I had the perfect comeback. I told her if she wouldn't keep having them, I wouldn't keep forgetting them. Come on. Come on. You have one every year, and I'm expected to remember it every year.
Right.
So gradual, step-by-step development. It's wise to be cautious, not get too vulnerable. And we talked about boundaries the other day. Remember that person with the poorest boundary? In that first date, they're going to tell you everything about themselves, all of their innermost secrets and all of that stuff on the first date. Is that good idea? No. You may look. I'm going to tell you. I think you need to be in a good relationship. You need to be honest with your partner, right? You need to be open and honest. They need to know everything about you. I know a guy who, now tell me that's not an interesting truck going by. That is trim and tidy, mobile dog grooming. Now that's an interesting truck. Everybody needs.
That's a good idea. Good idea.
What's a good idea? Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good little business. So I thought that was pretty good. So here's the deal. I know a guy who his wife passed away, and he started dating another lady, and he came to me and talked to me a little bit about it, and he said, "Look, I'm gonna ask her to marry me," and I said, "Well, I think that's a wonderful thing," and he said, "But I have to show her my colostomy bag first."
Oh man.
Yeah. So he's an older gentleman. He's not all that much. He's probably in his 50s somewhere, but he had whatever he had, and you think it's a good idea for him to tell her about that before they get too far along down the road?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. 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 She needs to know that stuff. Before they get too far down the road. So yeah, I think that's a really good idea. So we don't want to get too vulnerable. I don't want to tell them everything there is to know about me on the first date. I don't want to get too quickly. I don't want to get physically involved with them. That's sex. I don't want to start having sex in the first 15 minutes that we've met. Does it happen? Maybe not in the first 15 minutes, but yeah, it happens. First day that you meet. Yes, sir.
You can live with a woman a lifetime.
Well, that's true too. But you should know. You should. He said you can live with a person for your whole lifetime because it's not just a woman. You can live with a guy. If you're a girl, you can live with a guy your whole lifetime and never know them. Because there's things in my life. My wife and I have been married for 52 years. There's things in my life that she doesn't know about. Not in my life right now, but there's things that I have that have happened in my life she doesn't know about. And I'm sure there's things that's happened in her life that I don't know about. But I can tell you what her favorite color is. And I can tell you what her favorite food is. And I can tell you who her favorite person is on television. I know these things about her that are important, right? Is it important for me to know who she dated when she was 17? No. No. Is it important for her to know those same things about? No, that's not important. And you're never going to know all of that stuff. And are you ever going to know everything that the other person's thinking? No, you can't possibly do that. You know, nobody can. God knows everything you're thinking, but you don't. Sometimes I look at my wife and I think I know what she's thinking, and I try to get that preemptive strike going in there, and it never seems to work out. So I quit trying to be a mind reader long time ago. So look, we don't want to get physical real quick, right away, and we also don't want to get emotional right away. What's that emotional thing mean? There's a song that says guard your heart. So we need to guard our heart. We don't look. If you feel like you're falling in love with somebody, you might need to go take a break. Seriously, because most of the time we're not falling in love. We're falling in infatuation. We're falling in lust. We're falling in something, but it ain't love. Because love will be able to take care of all of those issues that keep coming up. Lust is not going to do that. And you're not going to fall in love in 5 minutes, but you can fall in lust. Right? No. You can do that. Say it again? Yeah, them hormones. Yeah. Hormones are something. And when we're young, like we all are, them hormones are that big around, and they're bouncing all over the place. So we got to be careful about that.
People can fool you. People can be good at it. Some people are good at it.
Oh, yeah. It's okay with me. I'm a little bit, he said some people can just fool you, and that's okay. And they're really good at it. And they are. That makes them usually become a pretty good manipulator, right? Can you be manipulated? Of course you can be manipulated. We've all been manipulated. I'm going to tell you what, I can be manipulated pretty easily. I'm a little naive, and that's okay. If you get over on me, okay, you got over on me. It's not a big deal. It's okay. Do I enjoy that? No, I don't enjoy that. Especially, my wife and I have been married all these years, and I love my wife and all that stuff, and I purposely let her get over on me if she wants to. I don't care. She deals with all of our money and everything, and I've told her more than once, you just go, whatever you want to spend it. I don't need to even know. I don't care. I mean, if she spends all the money, what are we going to do? It's pretty easy. If she spends all the money, we're going to do without. Yeah, we're going to do without. Yeah, and that's the point. I tell her I don't care because I trust her. Because she knows, she keeps up with the bills, she got a budget, she knows everything she's spending and all of that stuff. And she'll tell me, well, we have money coming up in different directions, Social Security coming in and this little bit. I worked for a company called Tidewater one time for 7 years. Worked for them for 7 years and then told them and went to another company. And I didn't know it, but as I was a supervisor there, and as a supervisor, they put retirement money up for you, without you even knowing. And so when I hit 65, they sent me a lot of money. They sent me $2,000, and then they said, "Look, you're going to get a check until you're 85, and then when you're 85, we're going to cut it off because we expect you to be dead by then." So okay. So how much you think that check is? I'm gonna tell you what do you think that check is?
$85.
How much?
$85.
What? $85? 800? No.
What about 200?
$78 a month. $78.
But you didn't know that you said you didn't.
I didn't. No, and that's the point. I did not know that was coming. I had no idea that was coming. And how many people in the room would tell somebody, "Don't you send me no $78 a month. That's insulting. You just keep that $78." That's exactly what I said. Give my money. Give my $78. You know, so if you got this, you got that, and she knows where everything's coming, and she'll sit down there sometimes, and she's in her little book working it out. And I said, "Well, you got that covered?" She said, "Yes, this is coming in then." Okay.
If you work for these people and you had no idea they put up money for you when you
never knew it. Never knew it. I never knew it until I was 65 years old, and they said, "We got to give you a lump sum thing," and I think it was $2,300, which was, hey. You know, and I'm sitting around there, okay, they sent me they're going to send me $2,300 a month? And then they sent me the letter and said, okay, that was the lump sum because I didn't get it until they didn't catch up with me until I was about 68. So they had paid me what they owed me.
That back pay.
Yeah, back pay, and then they $78. But that's okay. You know, like in my car, that's like 2 tanks of gas a month. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Praise God for that. That's good stuff. So here's the deal. There's some things in my life that I want to have in my relationship. And I'm going to tell you something. Let me tell y'all, I'm a liar. Ooh. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's one of the things that I have discovered about myself. I'm a liar. I will lie to you. Isn't that terrible? That's a terrible thing. What is one of the things that we have to get into early recovery? Honesty. We need to be honest. Don't we need to be honest?
Yes.
We need to be honest about all that stuff, you know. But I will lie. Do you know anybody else that lies? Yeah, raise your hand. That lady over there. Yeah, everybody. Look, we'll lie. You know, I've had my wife come and say, "Does this hair look?" So yeah, that looks good. I've had her tell me, you know, she cut her own hair. She used to be a hairdresser, and she'll cut her own hair sometimes. And when I come in, she'll say, "You didn't even notice." I said, "Yes, I did." Was that the truth?
No.
Of course not. I done worked all day long. I've been up here shoveling this dirt and all this kind of stuff and working with you guys all day. I'm tired. I come in there. She done cut a half an inch of hair off. A half an inch. I wasn't even noticing she had hair. Yeah. No. So I said, yeah, I noticed that. And I didn't say nothing about it, but, you know, it looked good on you. Right? She dyed her hair one time. She's redheaded, and she dyed her hair because it wasn't the same color red it's supposed to be, and she put the wrong stuff on it. It turned orange. And she had met me at church, and she had that orange hair, and it was glowing. And she kind of looked like Ronald McDonald. You know what I'm saying? And the girls at church were trying to hide her, you know, and I went by there and I saw all that orange hair and everything. And she said, "This looks terrible." I said, "No, honey, you can pull that off." Lied like a dog. It did. It looked pretty terrible. You know, but we'll do that. We need to have
A lot of the alternative truth.
an alternative truth. Yeah, he's talking about an alternative truth. Look, you need to make sure. And I've had people tell me, "Well, that's the truth, as you see it." The truth is the truth, right? You know, it's the truth. You know, and if this is your truth and somebody else's truth, no, truth is truth. So we need to have some. If I'm going to get into a relationship, I want that person to be honest. Do you want somebody to tell you something about yourself that's not exactly flattering? Do you? You know, do you like to be flattered? Everybody does. I like somebody to, man, you know you're good looking. There's this lady named, she does it all the time. Yeah.
You got a lot of people that, they just like me, you gotta be a relationship, you gotta be friends.
Yeah, and that's true too. They need to be your friend. But here's the deal too, talking about relationships, he said you have to be a friend to have a good relationship. That's true. But here's the deal, even with your friend, I want my friend to be truthful. I want my friend to tell me the truth. I did something, I don't know, I kissed my wife or something, and she said, man, you got some halitosis going on there, brother. What's halitosis? Bad breath. I said, oh, excuse me. That's horrible. You tell us. But I was great. I'm about to walk out in public. I'm about to go somewhere. I'm going to be talking to people all day long. I did not want to be wilting flowers, when I'm talking to them. So I went and rebrushed my teeth and brushed my tongue, brushed the top of my mouth. I tried to reach my tonsils, but the gag reflex got me. And then I popped a couple of those don't stink breath pills, and I felt better about myself. So I want people to be honest, even when it's not super flattering. I should be able to. If I can't be honest with the person that's in my life, then I don't need to have that person in my life, right? Right.
Some people don't.
So we need to be honest, and like you're talking about my wife and the money, we need to be able to trust that person. I look, if I can't trust the person, okay. Then I don't want, and we need to be at a place where we don't need to know everything in order to trust that person. If you hide a microphone on your husband or on your wife or on your boyfriend or your girlfriend, does that show trust? No. If you trust your spouse to go to another town to do something fun without you, but you send a private detective to check on, is that trust? No, that's not. So we need to be able to trust them. Look, I had somebody tell me one time that in a relationship you need to be able to trust them, but don't be stupid. If the guy is still sending money to his girlfriend, or the girl is sending money to, something, okay. I trust you, honey pot, sweetie Petey, but we need to talk about Bubba or Babette. Why are you sending them a couple $100 a week? I know that in the 10th grade, y'all were an item. That ought to be paid off by now. We don't need to be, there's some things. So trust, how do you gain trust? Well, I got quiet off in here. How do you gain trust? What is it? Respect. If you respect the other person.
Keep your word.
Keep your word. You have to build trust. It takes time to build trust. You have to show people you are trustworthy. I can go anywhere. I can do anything. I'm going to guarantee you I'm not going to drink. I guarantee, I don't care where I'm not going to drink. If I go to a place where it's a little hard, I'm not staying there. Not going to stay there. Back in the day, I used to be in airports a lot. Are airports a safe place for an alcoholic? No, there's all kind of booze there. I was in an airport one time, and I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready to get on the airplane, but there's been a delay, and so I'm sitting down, and there's a bar right there. Now, there's a couple of things that keep me from wanting to go to a bar in the airport. The biggest one is cost. Because one drink in there is like $39. It's like, hey, you're in the airport. This stuff is 10 times better than it is anywhere else. But I'm sitting there looking at that, and I'm going, well, there's a bar right there. Alcoholics know that. We know where the bars are. We see that. It's over there, and you can see bottles of booze up on the wall and stuff like that. I'm going, okay, I see that. I can almost smell that from here. I can kind of taste that from over here. And over the loudspeaker system, it said, at 2 o'clock in Terminal 2 at B area, there's going to be a meeting of the Friends of Bill. What? The Friends of Bill are going to, what was that?
Bill Wilson.
Who's the Phil? Yeah, Bill Wilson. So that they're having an AA meeting in the airport because somebody there realized that there's people that just like me sitting there looking at that deal. And so instead of going to the bar, I went over there, sat down, had a pretty nice little meeting in the airport, and that was really unique. That was good. And one of the things that was unique about it is they allowed that guy to broadcast it all over the airport. There were 35 people showed up. So it was great. So we need to have trust. Y'all can trust that we're going to take a break here in a few minutes. So look, and somebody said this earlier too, we need to have respect for one another. If you don't respect that person, why are you with that person? I'm not going to be with a person, I'm not going to have a person that's my friend, that's my boss. I'm not even going to work for a person, and I have had to do that. I worked for a company one time that was just not where they should be. They were not right. They did not do things kosher. They didn't do things the way they're supposed to do things. And when I hired on in that company, I was up pretty high up the line there, and like the number 3 person, and I went in and told them, "Look, this isn't right. Not doing this, not doing that. I'm not going to do that." And he said, "Well, this is just the way we do it." I said, "Well, good. Y'all go ahead on and do it that way. But I'm not going to do it that way." So I have to have respect for people I work with. I have to have respect for people that are my friends. I have to have respect for people who are going to crawl in my bed tonight. Got to respect those people. If I don't respect that person, I'm not going to be involved with that person. So what if you're involved with a person right now that you don't respect? Well, cut that out. So here's the deal. Also acceptance. We have to have respect and we have to have acceptance. In healthy relationships, people don't try to control each other. I will tell you one thing. My wife is magnificent. She's slowing down a little bit now. Things are a little bit different now. But when I met her, you know, it didn't take me long to know I couldn't control her. And then as I matured a little bit, I got to that place where I realized I didn't really want to control her. She's her own standalone person. She is not codependent, and I am my own standalone person. We work together to make a life together, but we're not. Either one of us is controlling the other. So we don't want to control other people. Wait a minute, glasses on. We can put ourselves in the other person's shoes, accept their rights. And we have to know that. Now, I know some people that don't think we have this right, but I have every right in the world to disagree with you. And here's the other thing. You have every right in the world to disagree with me. Now, when we're in a group like this, and I've done all this studying, I've been doing this for 25 years and all of this kind of stuff, when you disagree with me, you're totally wrong, but you still have that right. Right? You do. And sometimes you're right. I've been teaching a group, and I've had somebody raise their hand and say, "Wait a minute, I don't agree with that." And once they tell me what they didn't agree with, yeah, I got it wrong. So I can get it. I can get it wrong. Right? Yeah, I can. So look, we're going to take us our break. We got 15 whole minutes. Back here about 15 after. I might have got another hour of sleep. I need a tissue.
I used to have some in here. That don't mean they're still in. That's what's in.
Yeah, you ain't got nothing sweet. You ain't got nothing further.
Go box or go. Which one do you want?
Just the one on the whole, right? Please.
Oh.
Everyone, right?
All right, how about you?
Let me get that first. All right.
Yeah, I gotta go get my lunch bar. Hey, no, I didn't know that.
That's fine.
What? Did you eat any breakfast this morning?
Oh, okay.
Oh, what's up? You got that? I need breakfast. You're welcome. I thought you were right. I know that thing was giving me some trouble though, because I was always going to be off, and I was going to it's fly. No problem. I just seen it in there. I figured I'd hang it up.
Time to fry my
Oh, goodness gracious. I got to keep moving. I'm going to get tired. Hey, how are you? Where's Mr. Brazil? Do you need him in your office? Here he is, Mr. Richard. He's right here. Oh, was he outside? No, that's see me. Listen, he's looking for you. Sometimes
What you looking at when that dead fuck? I know it. A portrait in motion.
Every time I got something bad, so you just go out and pray.
I'm not even going behind. No, it ain't no good. What's all that down there? What you doing? I ain't got that. Once you come, get it out.
Wonderful. How are you? You know, we have about 8 minutes till she's here.
I thought you said she'd be out early.
She is. In good shape. She's ready.
I ain't got I'm buying that wood. Make me read it.
I'm from Lee.
Born and raised.
Since 1991.
Where you originally?
Montgomery County.
Conroe.
Conroe.
Willis.
My aunt lived in Willis.
Willis.
I grew up in Montgomery.
Hey, Willis nice too.
It's very nice.
When? Willis.
Willis.
I ain't know Willis was Conroe. I got some.
Yeah.
And Willis, I get a mixed up. Willis and Wild. Willis is up north, down.
No, Willis is north of Houston.
Okay, I get a mixed. Wild is what I'm
Oh, okay. That's probably more Dallas.
I get a mixed.
My hometown is the birthplace of the Texas flag. Montgomery. All kinds of information up here. Yep. Live close to the lake. We live on property.
So it's so nice.
In the middle of nowhere.
Are you married now?
Draws.
Not really.
Draws.
Oh, yeah.
Separated.
Good mouth. So you can.
I never mind.
I'm married to a man upstairs.
You got kids?
I do.
You live with your kids?
I have 2 of them that live with me currently. They're all grown. And a grandbaby.
Got a home, apartment, time.
I do. I have mine. Yes. Bought it about 5 or 6 years ago.
Say mine.
Mine. That's mine. The property will be mine one day. Not soon, I hope, because I'm not ready for the property to go.
Nothing like home.
It's nothing like it. Never. It's good to have. It's good to
Papa may
have.
have, mama may have, child with his own.
That's right.
I have.
I bought it with my own money.
I have one out of
It's okay, because you have a chance to get nothing.
You have to deal with somebody. They're gonna let you know that that's big. Family members, friends. They're gonna let you know sooner or later. Teresa. God is good.
Every day.
You gonna be talking. Oh, right there. There it goes. There's one left. I didn't see you. That you start.
I ain't missing it.
She was on the building.
Okay, I'm gonna grab my notepad.
Show me the way.
So before you want to pay, How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm glad.
You better.
Hey, I'm still clean.
Hey, that's all that matters, baby.
Good soul. Someone get it over the way, man?
Yeah. I made a list. Oh, some socks, some underoos, and some broccoli. How do you know this? I gave this kid a list of things I need. She wore this morning. Boom and all. Oh, that's gonna come in handy. You know what I'm gonna do with that, right? Oh yeah. I'll put it around the wall. That video. Each of them small.
Why you like it? She just went by her. Where was she? Oh, the black thing. Yeah, okay. She left. Nah, she said she got that white blue line. That's what I'm saying, though. Yeah, I see. You know, she got like food. I didn't know. I'm just saying, damn. You drink the food stuff. That's why I ain't never owned my work. That's why I'm I ain't thought. I need some now. Like this. That's your mom?
Yeah, that's my mom.
You ready?
Yeah, come on.
I thought that was your sister. You ready?
I'll take it.
Right back. Okay. On my way. One more minute. 1 minute. That's okay. That's all right. Okay. That's okay. Okay.
Why do we have so many goddamn trees?
We need some more hours. Oh, yeah. All right. Almost that time, huh?
Is it?
Okay. Let me say it.
All right, we're back. We're going to spend a few more moments talking about all of this. Then we'll be done for the day. So, we can put ourselves in the other person's shoes and expect their right to disagree or expect their right to make other choices. So one of the things that we kind of mess up sometimes is we don't understand that the other person that's in our relationship with us is another person. That person does not belong to me, doesn't belong to you. That person is another standalone person. They need to be respected for being that standalone person. And if we do that, that's going to strengthen the relationship. It's going to be in a whole lot better shape. So we need to understand that they have the right to disagree with me. It's not ever going to be my way or the highway when it comes to a relationship. They have the right to say, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. And you're going to have to change directions. So we need to come to a place where we have a mutual understanding and a mutual agreement on what we're going to do. Right? We need to do this. So you can, in some good, healthy relationships, if you get together and you talk about things and you agree to allow the other person to do some things without your input. Is that a good idea? Sometimes it is. You know, if I'm away from the house and I'm out here working, doing all of that stuff, my wife usually makes me a lunch. But she has allowed me, if I don't want that lunch, I don't have to eat that thing. You know, so she's a good cook, and she does some good cook. She's some good food. She's not as good as she used to be, but she's still pretty fair. And usually the food she cooks is good, but sometimes I'd rather have a hamburger. Now, I don't eat many hamburgers because they're not good for you. They're full of garbage, and the buns make my sugar go up because they're nothing but carbohydrates. And so they're not good for me. But every now and then I like something that's not good for me. This morning I went to McDonald's. Yeah. No, nobody ought to go to McDonald's, but I did, and I had a bacon, cheese, egg sandwich. Oh no, it was bacon, egg, cheese biscuit. How many people know that's good? You know, they taste good. They're not good for you, but you know that's what I had. But here's the deal: my wife has agreed that if I want to do that every now and then, I can do that. So she doesn't have to have input into whether or not I'm going to have a hamburger today. Because I'm a standalone person. You know, I know it's not good for me physically. I know it's not good for the diabetes. But if I want one, I can do it. And probably once every 3, maybe 4 months, I'll go have one of those things. I was coming over here when I first started to work over here. I had to come here, and I'm an early riser. I was up this morning about 3 o'clock, and I was getting over here way before these guys ever even thought about coming to work. So I'd get the McDonald's is right there, and I would go over there and have breakfast every morning. And they have where you get bacon and eggs and pancakes and all kind of stuff. And I would do that over there every morning before I came over here and did whatever I was doing over here at that time. So here's the deal. What we can ask directly for what we want out of that person. That's a real power to be able to ask directly. I go to that person and say, look, I need $100. I need you to give me $100. I need you to do this for me. I need you to do something different about this. Instead of trying to manipulate them. Instead of trying to figure out how am I going to manipulate that person to get that person to see my point of view or to get that person to turn around to my way of doing things, I'm going to manipulate them. Now, I know that we've all been manipulated and we've all been manipulators. If you do that, it's going to hurt my feelings. If you do that, you know, I may not be around here anymore. You know, all of that kind of crazy mess. But in a healthy relationship, I ought to be able to say what I need to say ask what I need to ask, do what I need to do without trying to manipulate the other person. Right? I should be able, if I cannot do that, if I cannot honestly and above board go to that person that I'm in a relationship with on any level, if they're my boss, if they're my co-worker, if whatever they are, and just tell them what I need to tell them, then there's an issue there. Yeah, if I can't do that, does that mean I need to quit my job?
No.
No. Does that mean I need to quit my spouse?
No.
No. What do I need to do?
Work it out.
Work on the relationship. Yeah, work it out, the man said. Work it out. Work on the relationship. I need to tell that person, hey, there's an issue here. What if someone's angry with you? What if somebody is just nasty to you all the time, and you go and try to be the bigger person? You tell them, and you do all of those things, and they just don't change that behavior.
Leave them alone.
Yeah, let them go. Let them go. You may not need to work as hard as you're working to keep that relationship going if that relationship already gone. If that relationship is in the toilet, I ain't crawling in the toilet with it.
Do the flush.
Yeah, push the handle. Sometimes, look, and I'm a pastor, and I believe that you ought to get married and stay that way the rest of your life. If I got married and I stayed married my whole life, and I got that ball and that chain, I think everybody ought to do it. You ought to have to do it too. If I had to do it, you ought to have to do it. But if I'm going to look, I don't believe in staying, and I don't think God would have you stay in a relationship that is abusive. And some of the things we've been talking about, when people are manipulating you, and people are getting you and making you do things that you really don't want to do, that's abusive. And when that's abusive, that's not anything that was ever taught out of the Bible. So don't do that. So here's the deal: we need this. This is important, and it's sometimes kind of hard to get a hold of, because when we get married, when we get together as a couple, then we are kind of one person, and we need to be at a place where we can have acceptance of separateness. That's a hard concept to think about. As a couple, we're a couple. Y'all know what interdigitation is?
No.
Hey, look it up. Look it up. It might be in there. I don't know. Interdigitation. How many people, when you're walking with your loved one, you hold hands? That's not what interdigitation is. See, look. You hold hands, right? When you're walking along, you got a hold of your loved one's hand, and y'all walking along, and everybody saying, "Oh, how cute that is," and all that. They must love one another, or maybe he's under arrest and she's hanging on to him so he can't get away, or something like that. But that's holding hands, and that's a good thing. But how hard is it for somebody to pull you guys apart? It's not hard. No, you can push somebody real hard, and if you're holding hands with somebody, it'll slip right away. But interdigitation is a little bit different. When you take your hand and you put it in that person's hand, and you interlock the fingers. And when you interlock those fingers, you push the top of the fingers down on the other person's hand, and that's interdigitation. And it's almost impossible to pull you apart if you're interdigitating. So when you walk with your loved ones, it is more intimate, and it is safer for you to interdigitate. Right? So try that next time you're walking with your loved one. Interdigitate. Now, I have taught at Land Manor now. September the 3rd will be a solid year. So I know that the folks at Land Manor, North Point and South Point, are going to remember the concept of interdigitation. Because yesterday I put on the board belief system, thinking, and action. I've taught it 39 times. Nobody remembers. So I know y'all gonna remember interdigitation though. Yeah.
Lock it up.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, you got to enter to see how it works. It really does work. So, but we need to be at a place where we can accept that the other person is what? What's the other person?
Their own person.
Their own person. Right. The other person is another person. The other person is not my property. Right? The other person may be my wife, may be my husband, may be my boyfriend, my girlfriend, may be any of those things, but they are not my property. They are another standalone person that I cannot command, that I cannot control, that I cannot own. And the same goes the other way. They can't own me. They can't control. Now, look, sometimes we can manipulate that person and feel like we're controlling them, but that's not a good relationship at all, is it? That's not what we're looking for. So we have to have that acceptance of their separateness, that acceptance of their independence. Now, sometimes that's a little hard for us to understand. It's a little hard for us to get a hold of because we're a couple. No, we're together.
Yeah.
We're married up. We're us. But still, that person is an independent person. Just like I'm an independent person. What's going to happen if your spouse dies?
A widow.
Yeah, you'll be a widow.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to do?
Get independent.
Yeah, if you are a standalone, independent person who is not codependent, you're going to be okay. Does that mean you're not going to be sad? No. That mean you're not going to need any grief counseling? You may need some grief counseling. That means you might need some grief counseling for a period of time.
Yeah, you really love that person. Don't probably have some grief.
Oh yeah.
So counseling will be good for you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If you really love the person, you care about the person, you don't have some grief in your life if they pass away, then there's going to be, that's a little weird. You should have some kind of grief, but should you, 5 years later, should you still be grieving? Probably not. Usually, 6 months, a year later, you're going to be pretty much back to where you want to be, where you should be. We should be able to look. Just because we lost that loved one, our lives do not have to end and should not end. If we were in that place, what would we be again? Codependent. We talked about that. And at some point, we'll have a study on codependency. Maybe we'll start the codependency thing sometime this week. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe next week. So acceptance, they have an independence. And look, here's the thing too. They can have a full social life of their own. Now that other person is going to socialize sometimes, and you're not going to be part of that scenario. Is that going to be okay?
Yeah.
It should be. It should be okay. We need, now that doesn't mean it's like that, what's his name? Larry, the cable guy. He's the guy that said, well, my brother's stupid. He sold his truck for gas money, and then he said, since I got married, I don't date as much as I used to, and that's the thing. When we're talking about socializing, we're not talking about still dating. you know, if you're with a person, you are with that person, right?
Yeah.
And that's common sense. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of people that ain't got a hold of that concept yet. You know, if you are my wife, you ain't dating somebody else. And I'm not dating somebody else. You know, we ain't doing that. We can still socially. My buddies and I can go fishing, right? We go fishing, we go hunting, we go golfing, we can go doing these kinds of things, but we're not going out with other people. When we're going out to go fishing with other guys and stuff like that, my wife goes to her friend's house and they have coffee and butt cake 2 or 3 times a week. They sometimes go shopping, and sometimes she'll take a girlfriend of hers out to eat. And that's, you know, that's okay. That's her socializing. So I really, look, do y'all believe that she comes and asks me if it's okay for her to take Barbara out to eat?
No.
Never once, never one time. Never even felt like it was necessary. It's not necessary, right? So she wants to go take her friend out to a nice restaurant, have a nice meal. That's her, and it's a sweet thing because her friend is she's okay. She got, you know, her husband died, and she got remarried, and then that husband died. So I don't go over to her house much because she kills guys. But anyway, both of them passed away, and she has enough money to have her house and all, but she's not rolling in the dough. So Miss Linda will take her out to eat, gives her a break, takes her away, has a nice meal, has a nice outing, and all of that stuff. But it's got to be okay for her to be independent enough to be able to do that. Right? That's a good relationship where I'm not trying to control her completely, and she's not trying to control me. Right? Now, there's some things I'm not going to do because she and I are together. And there's some things she's not going to do because she and I are together. But we're still not trying to control her. So she has a full social life. Healthy partners know that they're different people. And look, this is important too, with different interests. There's some things I like to do. I like to fly. I love to be up above if you get a big airplane, you're up above the clouds. That's really interesting. You know, looking at the clouds, flying at night, looking at the clouds over the ocean. And I was doing that one time years ago, and I'm looking at the clouds. The clouds broke, and way down there on the ocean, there's a light, a little tiny light, and I'm not sure if it was on an island or on a boat, probably a ship, you know. But that was really neat. Now the airplanes that I fly, you're not going to get above the cloud. Usually, you're going to be down under the cloud. But it's still really super duper interesting. My wife hates to fly. Now I have manipulated her, and I have faked her out and fooled her and got her on the airplane a couple of times. But she did not like it. You know, we flew up to Rhode Island one time in the wintertime, and that wasn't a good thing. And then we flew because when we were flying back out, the wings were iced over, and they had to get up there and de-ice the wings. She's already nervous, and they're de-icing the wings. You know, and I'm going, okay. So they finally let us get on the airplane, and we're sitting on the airplane ready to go. And we were at a place where we could see the wings, and they de-icing the wings again. Yeah, you know, we're sitting there, and she's off. What are they doing? Well, they're getting the ice off the wings. Yeah, you know, so she hates it. So our interests are different. I mean, you know, I'm sure everybody here likes cars. I mean, what kind of sane person doesn't like a muscle car? What kind of sane person doesn't like that? But my wife couldn't care less. She don't care about cars. She drives a truck, but she drives a truck because, you know, I want her to be safe, and so. Yeah, but cars, she don't care about a car. She don't have anything, you know. But I like cars. I mean, I like her, but she don't like her. So we have different interests. You know what she does like? Dogs. Dogs. She likes dogs. She's got a husky. That husky, you can say shed, and it will. You know, all falls off of it. Yeah. I'm amazed that it's not bald. You know, 'cause we have a one of those. It's called a Goofy. It's a vacuum cleaner. Its whole job is to pick up husky hair. It goes around every night, and every night I have to clean it out. And we got piles and piles of husky hair come out there. You know, isn't that amazing? And, you know, but this last night she said, "Look, I need to show you something." I said, "Okay." She showed me a puppy, a husky puppy, in Deer Park. She said, "We need to go to Deer Park."
know what that means.
So what are y'all going?
I don't know. She's in the midst of manipulating me right now.
She's going right.
I might, that thing might be at the house. So, acceptance that they are their own person. That's the way healthy things are. They have different interests. They have different histories. And your history can grow you into something different. And so, my wife was born and raised here in Texas. Now, y'all help me. Where on earth she come from? I mean, all the doors are in here, and she comes from that. I don't know. She must have been hid back in the back for days. I don't know. There is a back door back there. Yeah, huh? So anyway, that was weird. Okay. So they have a full history. I come from Mississippi. I came from a little town over in Mississippi called Meridian, and she was over here in this town. So our histories are different. Our upbringings are different. Our educational levels are different. We're different people. We just happen to be in love with one another and happen to make a life together, right? But that doesn't mean that we're exactly the same. What's that old adage? Opposites attract. You believe that?
Yeah.
To some extent, I think it's true. I think it's true. I do think that, though, that my wife and myself, at some point, we have to verge. We have to merge and do, get to a place where we can agree on the same thing. Like where you're going to live and all of that kind of stuff. You see, we stayed in Texas, right? So it says, look, all of that stuff, they maintain their other human connections, people that she knew. Before me, we went to her 50th high school reunion the other, about 3 or 4 months ago. I knew about 3 or 4 of those people. So I didn't know all of those people, and they were all, every one of them knew her. She was a majorette, and they all knew her. So I'm having to run interference. I'm going, good grief, get back, Jack, and all of this kind of stuff. Well, I knew you, were you? Oh, okay, yeah, well, you don't anymore. But she knew a lot of people I don't know, and lots of the time, we'll meet somebody, and they all know her. And they don't know me at all, because I'm not from here, I'm from Summersville. So they have different connections. Knowing no one person can meet all of their needs. This is a big one. We talked about it already, but we can't expect the other person to meet every one of our needs. We shouldn't. What a big old burden you're putting on somebody else when you expect them to meet every need that's in your life. Right? We're a bunch of needy people, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are. And the people that we get into our lives, the people that we pull up next to us, they're going to be needy people. But I'm not going to be able to meet every one of your needs. And they're not going to be able to meet every one of my needs. Is that right? When we get to that, that takes a lot of pressure off. We get to that place where we believe that, then we're not going to be putting all that pressure on that person to meet all of my needs. Who has to meet my needs? Yeah, you meet your own needs. You know, if you've got good self-esteem, good self-awareness, you can meet your own. You can meet your own needs. You know what you need to eat. You know what you need to wear. You know what you need to feel about yourself. You know what you need to feel about other people. You know what you need to do. You know what you need, what kind of job you need to do. You know what you need. So you can fulfill most. Now, look, there's some needs. You know, you have self-actualization going on for you, but there are some needs that can only be met by the other person. There are physical needs that only another person can meet. There are other spiritual needs that only another person can meet. So you have to be willing to let that person meet those needs, but not be expecting that person to meet all yours. So it just, it's common sense when we get down thinking about it. So no one can meet all your needs. They know they can get along on their own.
Yeah.
Look, this is important for you, and it's important for the other person. This is where we defeat codependency. I don't want to be on my own. I don't want my wife to run off with the milkman. I don't know where my socks are. I depend on her for some things. I depend on her for emotional stability. I depend on her for a few things. But here's the deal. If my wife left with the milkman today, I'd be okay. Yeah, I'd be sad. I'd be lonely. All of these things would be bad. But after a while, I'd be okay. Because I could be okay on my own. And she's the same way. If I die today because y'all are working me so hard, I just fall over dead today, then she's gonna be sad. She better be, or I'll haunt her. She's gonna be sad for a couple of months. She'll probably think my wife. Look, she used to have a bunch of old Vero paint horses, and a couple of them died, and so we got rid of all the horses. But sometimes she'll be sitting over there and she'll have this really sad. I said, what's going on? She said, well, I was thinking about Dakota. And Dakota's her horse, right? One of them. So she's thinking about the horse. So I'm thinking that if I die before her, that 5-6 years down the road even, she might have a moment where she gets a little morose because she's thinking about it, right? Sure, that's normal, isn't it? That's normal. But my life is not going to end, or her life will not end just because mine did. That's normal. You should be sad, you should be morose, you should be crying, you should be all of that stuff for an appropriate period of time, but after an appropriate period of time, you need to be okay. I see on the way back from our church, when I'm headed home, there's another church that we go by, and they have this great big old billboard. And it points down to their church as something temple. And it says, it's okay to not be okay. Well, not really. Okay. Not really. Look, if you're not okay, you're not okay. And at some point, you need to become what? Okay. Okay. At some point, it's okay to not be okay for a little while. But then we have to be okay. So if the people leave, if they go, then I'm okay for a while. After a while. They know they can get along on their own. And I have to know that I can get along on my own. I can do that. I can get along on my own. So, I don't want to, because we are people persons. I don't want to get along on my own. I want to be working with a group of people. I want to have my wife there. I want to have my children around. But if I have to, I can get along on my own. It'll be okay. So, they can get along on their own. So, they're together with you. Why? Because they want to be. That's what we need to hang on to. Now, here's the deal. This is what we need to understand. That person who is with you is there in a healthy relationship by choice. Not by necessity, but by choice. They're there with you because they want to be. And the moment they don't want to be, they don't have to be. Do they? Now, I think we ought to be able to work all the mess out. We ought to be able to stay together forever and ever and ever and ever. Yeah, until when the preacher ties a knot, he says, "Until croakification do you part." Yeah, oh, to death do you part.
Yeah.
Until croakification. Yeah. Yeah. When you croak, all bets are off. So, as the Bible says, look, you don't marry or you're not given in marriage when you go to heaven. We just ain't gonna be doing that stuff up there. One of the best things about heaven, lots of great things about heaven. One great thing is everybody gets their own mansion. So I got my mansion over here, and it's a real nice spot. But then my wife got her mansion over here, and she don't have to come to my house. And I don't have to go to her house, So we all got these separate houses. That's going to be good. So I said, look, they're there because they want to. They're there because by their choice. They're not there because they need to be there. So that's important to know. In a healthy relationship, the people in that relationship are in that relationship because they want to be in that relationship. Does that make sense? There are people in relationships who are in that relationship because they need to be. I know people who are in relationships. I'm trying to counsel a young lady, but she's in a relationship because she needs somebody to pay these bills she has. And the guy is really happy to do it right now. Right now. Because she gets benefits and he gets benefits, and she's there because she needs to be. Now, I know that he's there because he wants to be, but she's there because she needs to be. So what happens the moment the need is over? What happens the moment she gets a good job? What happens the moment the kids are old enough that they can leave? What happens the moment that she doesn't have that need anymore? She's gone. That relationship shattered. And what happens to the guy who really wants her to be in that relationship?
He's sick. Heartbroken.
He's heartbroken.
He might kill himself.
He could kill himself. All kinds of crazy mess could go on. So, they're there because they want to be, not because they have to be. Number 9 tells us this, and we'll be getting close. It's the expectation that each will solve his or her own problem. Now look, I'm gonna change it up just a little bit. There is an expectation that I'm going to solve my own problems, and that she's going to solve her own problem. Is that always the case? No. No. If it is, then we're not a real team. If my wife has a problem that I can solve, I'm going to help her do that, right?
Prince Charming on the horse.
Right. Prince Charming on the horse. Yeah. Here's the deal. My wife is getting older. She can't open bottles anymore. Water bottles. So before I leave in the morning, I open 3 water bottles. She drinks a lot of water. 20-ounce bottles. So I open 3 water bottles for her. So, if that's an issue, she can't solve that problem by herself, and I want to be able to help her solve that problem. Now, if I have a problem, she's going to help me solve the problem. The other day, we have to renew our license every 2 years. And I got on the computer trying to renew my license, and I got it all snarled up. So she's helping me with that. And still didn't get it, but she was willing to help. Miss Sierra, she jumped in the fray and was helping me do it. And finally, yesterday I got it done. Okay, yesterday I got it done, and it was a good thing. But she was willing to help me. So I do think that, look, I can solve all my own problems more than likely. She can solve her problems, but it's okay for us to work as a team to solve all of our mutual problems, but some of our separate problems. Does that make sense? Because I am looking to her for some needs fulfillment, and she's looking to me for some need fulfillment. Not all of them, but some needs I'm going to get fulfilled from my wife, right? So I don't really believe that we should be doing all of our problem solving by ourselves. We are a couple. So, but I can't. But we aren't rescuers. And that's the whole point of that. That we don't want to become a rescuer. So if I'm becoming, look, if you're doing something that's stupid, if you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, and it's causing you some issues, you need to fix that. Because I'm not going to be your rescuer. I'm not going to be your enabler. Not going to do it. Yes, sir.
Could she help you with some of your personal problems?
Oh, yeah. I think that we can help each other with personal problems, because once you become that unit, once you become that couple, then those personal problems don't just affect you, they affect me.
Some of the personal problems are internal.
Yeah, some of them are eternal. And a lot of those that are internal need to become external. See, I'm a talk therapist, so if you come to my office and sit down, you need to be able to talk about it. So that stuff that I'm pushing down, I need to bring it out. And what's the thing that allows me to bring it out?
Honesty.
Trust. I've got to trust you.
How about the medical ones?
Yeah. Yes. I would tell my wife knows all my medical issues. She knows if I'm having an internal issue, I'm going to bring that out. I'm going to talk to her about that. Now, here's the only caveat is if I go to my doctor and he says, you got 6 months to live. Am I going to tell my wife?
Yeah.
Maybe. Because I do know that that's going to put a lot of stress on her, a lot of strain on her. And she already suffers from high anxiety. So I may not tell her that. But, I'm going to make sure that I have everything lined out. So when I do die, I had a friend down at the prison. He was a captain in the correctional officers, and he worked every day. Wouldn't take a day off, 7 days a week. Finally, they were going to make him take. They did make him take a day off. And I was talking to him, and he had an inoperable brain tumor. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Yeah. You got maybe 2 years. You have an inoperable brain tumor. Your brain gonna rot away, and you're gonna die. So what he was doing? He was preparing. He was working every day so he could leave her as much money as he could when he finally passed away. But all of that stuff lined itself out. He got healed at a ministry thing for Benny Hinn, and the tumor went away. God healed him, and he's still around. So but he was doing what he could do to make sure things were in good shape. So those expectations are what they are. We can't fix. We know the healthy partner knows we can't. Healthy partners know we can't fix each other. There's some stuff about my wife I'll never fix. There's some stuff about me she can't get close to fixing. She's not going to be able to do it. So you're not going to be able to fix the people in your life most of the time. You're not going to be able to fix them. So we just need not to be rescuers. We need not to be fixers. So we can be supporters. We can be supportive of the people in our life without taking on their responsibilities. We have, as addicts, we have a responsibility to ourselves and the people around us to stay sober. Whose responsibility is it? It's ours. It's yours. It's mine. It's my responsibility to stay in my recovery. So can I take that responsibility and put it on my wife? No, it's not her responsibility. Can she be supportive? Can she help me? Yeah. And should she? Yeah. So, over the course of the study today, we learned a little bit about what a positive relationship looks like, right? And that's what our goal was for this group. And I think we met the goal. Do y'all think we met the goal?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to tell you this. I want to push you guys up, give you some positive affirmation here at South. Because today we did a whole lot better. You only motivated like 15 miles today. Yesterday it was like 45. So you did a whole lot better today, and I do appreciate it. Tomorrow I will be at North Point, and we will be streaming something that's going to be magnificent about families in recovery. So thank you all, and thank you at North Point. Get your sign